Hey, gang, my name is Carl White, and you are listening to the Loan Originator's Edge. And this is a podcast powered by the Scotsman Guide. And on this podcast series, that we're going to be interviewing top producers, top loan officer producers around the country, and just kind of pulling back the curtains. We were going to call this Coffee with Carl, because this is going to be a very informal type thing. And for those of you watching this, I'm literally sitting here in my kitchen right now, because we wanted this just kind of be an off the cuff, just an open mic interview. And our guest today is Christian Groomes, who is located in the beautiful state of South Carolina. Where you? First of all, welcome here. And where are you coming from, Christian?
Yeah, Carl, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm located in beautiful Greenville, South Carolina.
So Greenville, South. Hey, what's the general population of? How big is the city that you're in, more or less?
Oh goodness, not quite as big as Charlotte, I'd say. But Greenville was voted recently one of the fastest growing and maybe most beautiful cities in the Southeast or even in the country. It attracts a lot of tourism. It's a beautiful city that we have.
Well, it might be the fastest growing because you're writing a ton of loans there. So we might have to argue about which came first, the chicken or the egg here. But so let's go right to the volume first, and then, dude, we want to hear how you're doing it. So you were ranked as one of the top producers in the nation, and in dollar volume. So let's talk about that. So let's talk in 2023. What was your dollar volume, more or less?
Yeah, in 2023, it was just a shade over $227 million of loans.
Good gracious, 227 million. All right, so the first question that comes to my mind is that yours, or do you have a team of loan officers and you're a branch manager like I am, or what is that counting?
That was my loan production that I did.
So that's you by yourself.
That is correct. Now, I gotta say this, that my name is tied to these loans for sure. But being a former athlete myself, I can't do this without the people that I have on my team. So, so it's sure I can have the name that's tied to these loans, but I mean, my team that I work with, my partner, Greg Hugel, our production analyst, Marguerite Barr, those two immediately, I can't do what I do without these folks. It's like a triple braided cord, right? In this case, 1 + 1 = 5, right?
Yeah, I hear you, brother. And you're a class act, man. It's like you're at the Grammys getting your award and you're saying, I'd like to thank my publicist and I'd like to thank I get it, man. It takes a team. And but this is not a branch of 50 loan officers. This is you being the primary lead generation loan officer for it. This isn't for a big branch. This is your own personal production. So, dude, that's a high number for a single loan officer with a team. That's a really high number. How many units is that, more or less?
Just over 300.
Good gracious. So that's about one a day,
give or take. I mean, there's about one a day, business day, because we don't work on the weekends, but we're still around.
My man, good for you, brother. So yeah, there's no closings on Saturday and there's no closings on Sunday. So it's probably even more than average, one per business day.
That's right.
So, dude, all right. So there's two directions we can do this. So, because a couple things comes to my mind, and by the way, just for our listeners, I get the numbers, but I'm asking these questions because I don't know the answer to them, and I can't wait to hear. So, as a fellow top producer, there's two things I want to hear about. I want to hear about your team. I want to hear about file flow, and I want to hear about lead generation. Like, how did you do it? So let's talk about. The first thing I'd say where most loan officers are challenged right now is like lead generation. Like, where in the world? How are you driving all the traffic to attract that many closings in a year? How many of these are like realtor referred, past database, or consumer direct? Like, what's the kind of the number one, number two, and number three method of driving traffic?
Well, I mean, for me, and I guess you'd say in this industry, it's doing what you say you're going to do, which it isn't hard, I would say, or, to me, it's not that hard. All you're going to do is do what you say you're going to do and ask for referrals.
Mm.
A lot of it, sure, is existing client database. And, just following up with my current database of clients and contacts that I have. But at the same time, when you get and close a loan with somebody, it's thanking them for their, the business, and then also asking them if they have a friend or a buddy that needs a loan. And you never know who's going to be calling you. And at the same time, whether I've done a $30,000 loan or I've done like a $23 million loan, right? I treat them all the same. Because in our line of work, you never know who that person, sure, it's a $30,000 loan. Maybe they know somebody that is going to send you millions and millions of dollars of business. So you can't treat them different because it's a smaller loan, and you give them the same customer service.
So a fair amount of these come from your past database, and you said contacting them. Like, how do you do that? Are you call them, or they email, or you snail mail, or how do you market to your past database?
Yeah, so we've got a wonderful marketing team here at Lima One that nurtures our book of business that we have, and whether it be through drip campaigns. I also, we do a lot of outbound calls, and just following up with our clients. Just making calls, really just touch points. Normally it's 3, 4, 5, 6 touch points to get business from somebody, maybe more, maybe a couple years. So it's all about consistency in the follow up, to be able to make sure that we're driving business, and driving business to get quotes, which are ultimately going to hopefully lead to submissions, which can lead to loans closing.
So you're calling the past database and you're emailing the past database. Is that the primary marketing campaigns for the past database? Is phone calls and emails?
Yeah, yes. That is certainly correct. And doing that, it could be guys or gals that I've never even done business with, and trying to get them in the door to work with me. Or it could be, hey, using social media. I've done that a lot too, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. There's so many different platforms that you can just don't come out selling something or a product, but be as a trusted advisor or resource to folks. That's what's really helped me win business.
Yeah, but what I did hear you say is you're very aggressive is the word I'm thinking of, but that's probably a little bit strong of a word, but you're consistent.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing you say is you're very consistent about asking for the business, though. And it doesn't sound like you're shy about, hey, who do you know who, kind of thing, that you get a lot of your business from doing that way. So,
just my mentality is I'm going to follow up until you tell me to no, or just the joke is buy until they die or say no. And, just keep following up.
You want a yes or a no. There's no money in the maybes.
That's right. That's right. And if you say no, I'm going to convince you to a yes.
Man, I love you, man. This is great. All right. So past database, you said, was a primary. Do you also get a fair amount from realtor referral or business referrals, or where do you get, what's another good source?
Yeah. Another good source would be, let's just say, insurance companies. Not as many realtors, because we're not direct, we don't work with the realtors as much directly. Insurance companies, title companies, attorneys, folks like that, who deal in our specific niche field, with investors. That is something, if you just keep those folks, I'm not happy, but do good business with them. Maybe they have clients that need financing and they can send them your way.
So a fair amount of your deals are investor deals?
That's our sole thing that we do. So we're a private money lender, and provide financing to really just change the communities, whether it be fix and flip financing, DSCR, new construction, multifamily bridge, all of that. I couldn't tell you how to underwrite or look at a conventional loan. I'm not a loan originator on that side of things. I'm a loan originator specifically in a very niche market of private money lending, for investors only.
Dude, you closed 300 investor loans in 2023. That's
It
that's that's an amazing number.
it
So,
needs to be higher. Needs to be higher. That's
no,
I'm quite disappointed in that, to be honest with you. Um, I looking back actually to 21, I did like 680 units of those loans. So it can be done. My goal is so much higher than that. And I think that we can do that when the market helps us a little bit.
yeah, dude, you sound like Tom Brady. I only won 7 Super Bowls. That's great. So, primary investor loans are all these in the Greenville area, or do you market? Are you outside of South Carolina? Like, are most of them in South Carolina, or do you go outside of South Carolina?
So the joke that I will tell people, if you ask me where I can lend, I lend where you want to invest. The only states that we can't do financing in is Vermont, the Dakotas, and Alaska. So 46 out of 50 states, and I can go from Miami to up north to Seattle to LA and anything in between.
What percent more or less is in, let's call it the South Carolina area versus, what percent are in South Carolina versus another state?
Easily, I mean, I just want to look at the Southeast probably, what I probably call the smile states. Probably 50% of that or more.
So how are you marketing? How are you marketing to? I heard you say insurance agents, title agents, and attorneys is a fair source of your referral sources. How are you marketing to those and say I'm here in the Tampa Bay area?
Mhm.
How was somebody in Tampa Bay hearing about you to refer to you?
Yeah, it's as simple as, hey, Carl, you just bought a house, right? Did you buy a production home from a builder in Tampa? Okay. Who is your builder, right? I want to know who that builder is. Let's just say you're an insurance agent or you wrote a policy or they closed a loan for somebody that bought that house, if they're an attorney. So I want to know who they're working with. And I straight up ask them, I say, who do you work with that are investors? Can you connect me with those folks? In this business that we do, I think it's all about being a straight shooter, not beating around the bush. Because at the end of the day, we tell good and bad news that clients are closing loans, and unfortunately, loans will not close. We've all seen that. So when you're asking for referrals, don't be afraid. Just, hey, do you have any investor business that you could send my way? I'd love to stay in touch with you.
So is this a thing where you started local in Greenville, and then the title agent might have been in, I don't know, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and you connected with that one. And then on that one, the insurance agent might have been in Montgomery, Alabama, and now you're in Montgomery, Alabama. Like, is that how this thing worked? It's just kind of like a domino effect?
I would say so. I had a book of business of, I guess you'd say, leads that I could call on, and it would vary from New York to South Carolina to Florida to Texas, California. I mean, you name it. It was folks that are investors and wanted to work with us. And yeah,
But how did they know about you to want to work with you?
so I work at Lima One, as I said. And in our line of work, in my opinion, you have a brand of your own. People know who you are, probably on the conventional side as well. And you're building your own brand as a loan originator, and people want to work with you because of how you do business. And to me, it was just, maybe let's say Carl's in a Facebook group, in an Ohio investor Facebook group, and he said, somebody posts in there and says, hey, I need financing on a fix and flip loan. Who should I call? And somebody posts my information, right? I've gotten a lot from different sources like that where they say, hey, I got your number from this Facebook group or whatever. Somebody posted your information. So to me, it's all about treating the customer right, because when you treat the customer right, or, an insurance agent or the attorney, like, they're not our direct client at the end of the day, but when you treat them right throughout the transaction process, they're going to now, oh, wait, he did a rehab loan or he did a DSCR loan. And when somebody now needs that, because of how you treated them throughout that process, you now become that first point of contact in their mind.
But I think, what, brother, in just the whatever 10, 15 minutes we've been talking here, I think treating them right without question, right? But I don't think that's your secret sauce. I think your secret sauce is you're aggressively, consistently asking for the business. Because there's a lot of loan officers that treat their customers right, right? People
For
that are
sure.
listening to this, by far the vast majority of the Scotsman's Guide loan officers treat their customers right. I think what you're doing special is you're consistently, persistently asking for the business from these other people, and that's really, I think that's what your secret sauce is you're not bashful, you're not shy, you go for the ask. That's what I'm getting out of
Yeah.
this.
Go as what? Go for the knockout punch, right? Just
Yeah.
keep trying. If they say no or hang up on you, I'm gonna still call you back. I'm gonna keep trying,
My man.
until you maybe put me on a do not call list, or hey, don't ever email me again, right? Maybe I'll stop. But I mean, because I have
Maybe.
to,
Maybe.
but at the end of the day, just keep trying.
Man.
I was I actually played football at Clemson under Coach Sweeney, and one of his biggest things that he said, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. You got to one bite at a time, and just keep following up. One email, one email, one email. And everything's going to should start snowballing if you just stay persistent.
Yeah. Good. How long have you been doing this, man?
Just 5.5 years or so.
Shut up.
Yep.
What were you doing before you did this?
Nothing really. I graduated from college, and I landed a job at a trucking company, Swift. They're you see their
Sure.
trucks everywhere. They're a national
Sure.
brand, and I have some wonderful friends, and some of my best friends to this day that said, "Hey, you should apply at Lima One." I had that job currently. I had just moved to Greenville from Clemson, and they said you should get a job in underwriting. I was like, I don't even know what underwriting is. I was like, I have a job, I'm fine. I applied. Well, I don't know how some of these people think, that are listening to this, but I'm a believer in the Lord works in mysterious ways. Well, I walked into work on Friday of that week, and I got cut. Corporate was doing cuts. I've been there no more than 2 months. Last one hired, first one to go. And next thing you know, I had a job interview at Lima One the following Monday. I didn't, it was just unplanned. And they cut my interview short because they said you're not a fit for underwriting. So they put me in touch with the sales director at the time. And that's where I landed, been at Lima One ever since. Came from a background not knowing a dang thing about finance or accounting, almost failing those classes at Clemson because it made no sense to me. But here we are doing this on a daily basis now.
And brother, I'm not going to ask your income, but for those of you listening, just think about how much you make per loan and multiply that times 300 and see what that works out to be. So, brother, you're just having an outstanding run of this. So good for you, man. So tell me a little bit about file flow. And what I mean by that, so you connect up with the borrower. Are you the one that does the application?
No. So I've got, this is, when I say I can't do this without my team, this is the biggest thing. At the end of the day, as a team, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And when we can pull each other's strengths together, we're all stronger together. Because listen, I'm not good at technical stuff behind the scenes, maybe with a CRM, but guess what? My teammate, Marguerite Barr, like, she is an instrumental piece of what I do. I get a borrower and they say, "Hey, let's move forward. I'm ready to do business with you guys," or "Let's do another deal," that sort of thing. I have her in the conversation in emails, and we're collecting documents, and we're both going, through these documents. I give you an option of a PDF application to fill out or DocuSign. You can fill it out on our website. And from there, what I'm doing is going through other documents with her, making sure that we're not missing anything. Now, one of the things, if there's any loan officer out there that may be struggling with file flow or wants to get better at it, you know what your underwriters are going to look for. You know what some roadblocks could be. And one of the things that I think helps with file flow the most is thinking ahead of like, what's going to cause this loan to die, or what could cause this loan to die, and thinking ahead that way. Or do I need to go ahead and ask for this document? Could I get this? And when you are trying to be one step ahead of that underwriting team or that underwriter, you know, it makes your process through the loan process. Guess what? That customer is so happy because they're not even knowing what's going on because it's so smooth. So we work together in tangent in making sure that we're getting all the files that we need in a timely manner, and then we're pushing it over to our underwriting team. And you know, hopefully we haven't missed anything, and if we did, we'll track it down really quickly.
And so somebody else on your team is doing the application, is what I just heard you say.
We're not filling out anything, right? So like, we're not the actual one filling it out. We're collecting it. The borrower itself or themselves is filling out the application.
Got it. And so are you the first person to look at the application, or somebody on your team is the first person?
Myself or whoever sees the email first, myself or Marguerite on my team.
What do you spend most of your day doing? Like if I took a snapshot of 10:30 in the morning on any given morning, or 2 p.m. on any given afternoon, what's Christian doing?
If you ask Greg or my partner, you know, or Marguerite, I'm on the phone. I'm out hunting. I'm a headhunter for more business.
So you spend most of your time prospecting?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
There you go.
And we have a great system in place, and what I would say checks and balances of, we make sure that we have complete files that we submit are clean files. And I'm looking at stuff in the background. Maybe if I'm on the phone, I may skim over some documents, and we teams back and forth all the time. Or, you know, hey, I think this might be missing, or we could do this or that. But at the end of the day, that is why I have entrusted folks like that to lead the charge that way. And, you know, it keeps me on the front lines of feeling like I can just go hunt and, you know, and find that next 12 pointer, find that big loan or big customer.
2 questions. Number 1, let's say the president of the United States, whoever he or she is, right? This is not a statement, a political statement, but the president of the United States calls Christian up, and he or she says, Christian, we need your help. What expertise are you amazing at that they're calling you for? Like, what do you see as your, you know, take your humble hat off. What's the one thing that you're amazing at?
There's a deal that nobody can get done, and it needs to be structured a certain way. Thinking outside the box of still playing within the credit box guidelines. Let's assume that, you know, that can be done here. And thinking outside the box, thinking one step ahead, thinking of how things can be structured the right way, as you know, from the lender's perspective and point of view, of getting things done for borrowers when truthfully sometimes they can't.
So being creative. All right, last question, man. So we have loan officers all across the nation listen to this, and dude, I'm sure all of them, like myself, are sitting there going, holy crap, that's a lot of loans. So this guy really knows how to, where I come from, we call it, you know where the gas goes, right? So of all these loan officers listening today, they say, Christian, tell me one thing to go do. What would you tell them to do? Give them one piece of advice. Go. This is the action you need to take today. What would that be?
Look, you know, it depends on really what niche market you're in. Let me just say, I'm assuming a lot of conventional loan officers are listening to this, right? So what I would say is, you need to know every single realtor in your market. You need to know, as a conventional loan. This is if I was a conventional loan officer.
Yeah,
I would take them to coffee, or lunch. And you need to be, when they think of financing, then you need to be on speed dial. And I set a goal last year. It's a little bit different for me because Not everything I do is in person, where conventional loan officers, it could be in person more often. I set a goal for meetings every week, whether it was coffee if I met somebody in person or a Teams meeting. And I got mad if I didn't hit that. I truthfully did. I'm a competitive person, and you need to set a goal, whether it be a title company, insurance agents, you name it, that you can not necessarily, you need to get to know these people, and mainly the realtors of taking them to coffee. A $5 coffee could lead you to a loan. If it's 100 of them, who cares, right? And, maybe set a goal of start with 2 or 3 a week, and then try and do one every day. But yeah, block off time. So in college, we had a thing called power hour. It's an hour of straight weightlifting, heavy lifting. I've done the same thing here, where it's power hour of calls. Set aside an hour every day when you're not busy, and see if you can hit 60 calls in an hour or more. If you should be able to do that. And just block away time. I'm not going to respond to emails. I'm not going to respond to text messages or whatever the case is. When you're not slammed, an hour a day, hit it, and you'd be amazed at some of the change that you might see.
Brother, great stuff in here. I was at a 1-day event for loan officers here recently, and if I could remember the name, I'd give him or her credit, but I don't remember which one it was. There were so many great ones at this thing. But one of them said, if you want to change your income, you got to change your calendar. If you want to change your income, you got to change your calendar. In other words, what you're doing. So, dude, Christian, this was absolutely fantastic. I can tell you, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, man. You just seem like the nicest guy ever. And I love your simplistic. I mean, it's a very simple plan that you have here. And very, very, very effective, obviously. And I really appreciate you pulling the curtains back and sharing your information here with all of our listeners. Anything I should have asked you today that I didn't, or do you think we covered it okay? Anything I missed?
Nothing really. Only thing I would say is for a lot of the folks listening, we may not necessarily cross paths, but when you cannot do an investor loan, think of me and give me a call or an email, and I'll be sure to help you out.
My man, you're a man after my own heart, man. I love you, buddy. That's some really good stuff there. So I appreciate you, Christian.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you, Carl.
Hey, for our listeners, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time here with myself and Christian, and Christian, and the good friends over at the Scotsman Guide who makes this all possible. The only thing we ask is give an honest review of the podcast here. Helps get the word out, and share it to 3 of your loan officer friends. We'd appreciate that too. So I think that's it. So we'll see you on the next episode of the Loan Officer's Edge. And thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.